I'm pretty sure the goal at the moment is to be a cheeky bastard.
Pretty much so, yes. I mean, I'm quite past my years of prime, right? So let's say I'm not gonna become the world champion anytime soon. So my goal with StarCraft is pretty much just see what I can do with the game, and if someone gets annoyed a little bit, then that's all right, yeah.
A little bit of a salt miner. A little bit of a salt miner. Creating some weird situations, some interesting strategies. Of course, we were going to work on a few different builds that you've written in here, like PVT, Terran versus X, and also a TVT. So not all Protoss, right? Because I knew you do. Protoss was kind of the main race, but you do a lot of Terran and Zerg and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing
the same level with all three.
Yeah. They're all about the same. Okay, but we're just focusing on Protoss and Terran, right?
Yeah, that's how we're...
Protoss plus Terran, Platinum 1, Diamond 3. I'll just update that in the title just so people know. We're kind of going to jump between the two, which is awesome. So...
my workflow is pretty much like, I see what would be a fun way to do something, right? And then I play games until it kind of works out. And then I try to do something else, right? I did this, what do we call it? AFK build and all these other float to command center, what have you. But these two, I can't really get working, right? Either the economy is too bad behind it, or I just die before they are executed.
Okay, cool. Well, should we start with the, those void rays were hallucinated, right? This first one you've written in, this PVT.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I show the document on stream, by the way?
No, go ahead.
It will show your human name on it. You're okay with that?
Yeah, I think it's on Twitter anyways, right? So,
okay,
cool. You might want to remove the. I was to say, we're not to say bad things about it anywhere, but.
No, it doesn't matter. Everybody agrees with that. And oh, you didn't say bad things. All you said was that he wasn't handsome, which is fine. It's about the softest flow you could ever make. Well, I know it's obviously just in the context of talking about beautiful Swedish people, perfectly dressed and stuff. I remember, actually, that was when I went to Stockholm for the first time. I was so shocked because, like, the teenage kids all had they just looked so clean and well dressed. I remember being like, they all have nice haircuts. It's all very neat and all their clothes are very stylish. And I'm just used to teenagers I'm like, where are the street teenagers? Maybe I needed to go to a different suburb, but they're in the internet cafe and they're like, oh, excuse me. They start talking to me in Swedish. I'm like, oh, sorry, I don't speak Swedish. They're like, oh, we really want to play together. Is it possible after your game if you could move to that computer and then, we can sit in a row? And I was like, this is the fucking nicest 13-year-old that's ever spoken to me in my life. I was like, what the fuck? This is a kid in Australia. He'd be like, oi, can you fucking move? We want to fucking play together, dickhead. I was like, wow. So Swedish people for the win. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, before I forgot, right? Congratulations on the marriage and congrats on the half marathon.
Oh, thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it. One a little more eventful than the other. Both personal bests, though. So
I'm sure.
Hopefully, could
I done one of those two.
Which one?
Married for what is it now? 13 years. Yeah.
Hey, congrats. I think it's more of a congrats the longer it goes. I think that's the bigger congrats is the more you keep it going well and keep pushing through the hurdles and everything else that's inevitably going to pop up in life. So let's take a look at this build anyway. Let's not chit chat too much because I don't want to waste your time. Yeah. And actually, I've been going over time way too much. Let me set a timer 1 second. So that way, if we get that will go off, and it will remind us to actually not only finish on time but actually answer any important topics that we haven't got to. So that way, if we get to something really important and or if we hit that timer and we haven't even started talking about something important, say there's one of the builds we haven't even got to yet, we'll jump over to it and see what we can do. Okay, cool. So this build is
logged into EU at the moment. Is that?
Yep. Just chat channel Pig. I'm in chat channel Pig and chat channel Piggy, Piggy. So you can see me in either of those.
Just /join. How does that work?
/join. Pig space Piggy, Piggy, or just Pig. Either way
Okay.
works. I'm sitting in both of those.
Oh, there we are. All right.
What's your in-game name?
Hurt one?
Hello. Oh, there you are. It always lags with showing you in the side list, but yeah, I see you. Okay, cool. So for now, I mean, make sure you have the stream open if you don't already, just because
I don't know. All right.
that means because I'm going to be looking at it in the write-up for now, and then I'm going to be looking at the video, the IC and maybe it's changed a lot since then, but we'll see. So basically, you're doing a gas first, 2-gate, possible expand, 6 sentries, and a use of a cannon. Hallucinate a void ray, fly into the main to attack workers, hallucinate 6 stalkers and walk army up to main, force field, ramp, kill. Oh, so the stalkers run up the ramp into the main just as like an extra distraction?
No, we all go to the nat, right? So the stalkers are just there to be the damage takers, whereas the sentries kill the workers. So I basically try to micro the stalkers kind of towards if they come down the ramp or from anywhere else, just a queen or whatever. Yeah. And then just target the workers with the sentries.
Okay, cool. So it's basically so you want your void rays to come in from the main, try and make them run their workers to the natural, all their army runs up, sentries run in, force field the ramp, and you have enough energy to force field it a bunch of times and pick off all their workers. If they're a very smart Protoss player, maybe they can recall their army down or their probes up, but that's going to rely on some quick thinking either way. Of course, problems with this is we can't just have sentries. I don't have
units for the first 4 minutes.
Yeah. We also, the thing is, like, we don't necessarily need that many sentries to pull this off. You really only need 1 or 2 void rays to go into the main, right? So that's only 1 or 2 hallucinations, and then you want to have, 3 force fields is enough to kill a shitload of stuff. Like, especially if you've got a few adepts or stalkers there. Like, adepts are going to kill workers a bit quicker. So we don't need to be on, like, pure sentry or anything if we want to do this effectively. I mean, there's always, of course, the kind of Florencio approach where we could be like, nah, I want to only use sentries because, like, I want to piss off my opponent. Like, I want it to look sillier. But other than purposefully doing things worse than we should, we have to, I think that can kind of work out pretty well. And is that kind of the extent of the build? Just taking a look at this.
Pretty much, And that's why I said, like, there's an option, especially against Zerg, to skip the first 2 sentries and just do 2 zealots instead.
Cool.
Because then they are sort of can take care of the queen, and there's a bit more meat to them attacking force. Yeah.
So basically, what this is a hallucination idiot magnet, right? That's essentially what this build is. It's hallucination idiot magnet. It's the ultimate idiot magnet. Plus ramp.
Way to describe that. Yeah.
Ramp force field. Force field contain. This is a really cool, just such a cute little thing. And you can kind of do this in all matchups to a certain extent. Like,
it works a bit worse at Zerg, I think.
Yeah, they're not going to pull their Zerglings into the main for a void ray.
And also they tend to have like this third up and running in a way, so they can reinforce relatively simply. Yeah, that's a bit different. Against Zerg, you want to lure them out of their main base and drop on the high ground and force field the ramp, right? So, but that's a cool little build. I think this is honestly, it's an opening pressure. So more than anything, what would be cool with this sort of play is adding another step to it. So by the way, I gotta change the stream title really quickly. Coaching disgusting cheese. It's all right.
Disgusting mind game strats. Because that's gonna, we've got to clickbait this shit because this is actually hilarious. These builds are great. They're so much fun. That's why I always enjoy seeing your name in an IC4. It's I know there's going to be something very unique that you've probably lost a bunch of games trying to figure out how to make work, but you've managed to find a way to create a truly unique gem.
Too bothered about the whole LMR thing. Yeah,
the way to go. So, if we think about this is something that's going to do damage of varying amounts, and I think adding a transition, a follow-up is just huge, right? So we could easily do this off 2 base for sure. I think if we do it off 1 base, it's like obviously easier. What sort of APM do you play at around? Like 100?
Yeah.
About 100 APM. Yeah, so
Pretty
you
much,
could
I'd say
handle.
I'm engagement 120 and on average speed other than that 60, but I'm very, very efficient, right? So I click once and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get the
because like I
job
know
done.
you're not like the ultimate spammer or anything, but I'm like I also don't think you're so slow that you can't handle like getting a base up of workers while doing
All right.
this. So I think definitely so doing it off two base back because that also means that there's more chance for there to be more workers to actually catch on the natural, even if they don't pull the workers out of the main.
Yeah.
Um,
The big question is, where do I build my first two gates, right? Do I build them up front of the net or in the main? I tend to do it front of the net. I'm relatively confident people don't push it so early anyways at my level. So it's relatively easy to hold.
Yeah, I mean, I think the gateways up front is good. So if this is PVT, and I guess I'll just kind of add some little points next to them,
PvT,
or maybe
PvP
I'll
works as well, yeah.
add the little sub points like this, just underneath little indented ones. So basically, verse Terran, if they go fast Reaper, it can cause you problems having a gateway down in the natural because of like the adept being a little delayed. So
So sorry, so what a depth? There's no depth in my build. The sentries will take care of that.
you go straight sentries, right? Because you're going
Yeah.
gas before gate as well. But I mean, you're going cybercore before Nexus as well, are you? Or
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Actually, let's look at a more modern replay of this, just in case you've changed it from that IC4. So I'll make you the party leader. Let's host up a replay here.
I don't think I've got one, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah.
Because people tend to do weird stuff before I get there.
Oh, okay, no worries. Well, look, first, I mean, I don't think it really matters where you put the gateways,
I can
honestly.
just load up against the machine or whatever, right?
Yeah. If we think about this, okay, so problems are getting across the map. I mean, essentially, I think we probably only need 4 sentries. So that's probably what I would change here. Is I'd say just 4 sentries. I think a cannon or two for defense, definitely. Whenever you're doing some weird gimmicky shit, but it's like, what if he's hitting
Because
me
you've
with a
got too
drop?
much mints anyways, right? Because the sentries are so gas intense.
Yeah, yeah. And it's such a good little defensive tool, especially if you get a battery up with it, if it's something serious. But for all light harassment, it's like, hey, you just pull your probes to the other side of the cannon if needed, and it tends to do very well. So it's just important that that forge goes down late, right? We don't want to rush that forge too quickly.
Right.
So basically, I would say something like forge goes down, not too early, and cannons start kind of as we move across or are halfway across the map. Basically, the idea there is just making sure we don't handicap ourselves too much by going for that. But the idea here is like, essentially, this is going to be an 8-unit move out, right? This is an 8-unit attack, is what I would imagine. So we'd get a proxy pylon, is what I'm thinking here. Let me just write this below your build because it's going to be a bit haphazard.
Yeah.
So opening notes. Forge. So 8-unit attack, proxy pylon to warp in the last 2. So essentially, this is kind of like in PvP where you just keep building units. So you're like sentry, 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 2 adepts, and then like 2 stalkers or 2 adepts or whatever, something like that, right? And the idea is, yeah, we probably want to hit that like 4 minutes 30. Let's say about 4:30 for now. We can adjust that. So the idea here is because your Nexus is absolutely going to go down, but it's after 2 gates and a cybercore. That's awkward in terms of the opening. So let's look at your opening in this icy fire replay, and let's just confirm this one. So I wasn't really paying attention just yet. So let me look at this video. Let me turn the quality down as well. So my just down 1 setting. So it's 30 FPS, 720p. Australian internet. Come on, bro. What the hell, man? All right. So I don't know why I'm on the other player's camera. I think it's because you were freaking him out with your chatter at the start of the game. Okay. Let's take a look at this. So you go gate gas, and then you go second gas real early as well. I kind of wonder, right? Because to get 2 sentries is pretty expensive, but we
Yeah.
I don't know if we need gas before gate. If we go double gas right after gate, it might be enough. Have you tried that?
No, I saw based on that, like 2015-ish, when you remember you got the gas before you got a Stargate and to push out like, what was it, like
Yeah.
was it oracles?
I
Something like
think a standard 2-gate opening might be enough to do it. I don't know if it matters too much, but basically just going the standard gate gas, second gas, then the second gate, then the cyber core, then the second pylon, third pylon, and then for the Nexus. So it'd be Nexus should go down. You're gonna get minerals for that pretty early because sentries are so mineral cheap. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're probably gonna need to saturate.
Floating a lot, right? So that forge is super easy to forward.
Yeah. You're gonna have to saturate your gases pretty fast though. So that
Right.
will make up for it. So your Nexus should go down at the normal PvP timing. I'm gonna guess it's about 320 is when your Nexus will normally you'll have the money to do it. You know what? Let's actually
before the center start, yeah.
Yeah.
So just right after the cyber call.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think about me I could like do the build right now and show you how it's done if
That'd
you
be
just
great.
make me the party leader just for the
Yeah.
first 5 minutes so we can kind of experiment together while we're talking through it. So do you just want to make me the party leader, please? And I will host up a map and I'll just make you an observer and I'll just put a very easy AI in it.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fun, man. I'll make you a referee. That means you can pause and unpause the game and stuff, but it's just so you can... Actually, even if you're a spectator, you can type to me. Not that you need to. Terran, very easy. Economic focus. I'm Protoss. Do I have my hotkeys on? I do not. There we go. Should be good. Okay, cool. So I'm going to try a normal PvP opening. I'm just going to saturate my gases a little quicker than normal, but I don't want to drop below 14 workers on minerals is how I'm going to do this. And we're going to see how that lines up. Maybe we'll go, oh, I can't quite start the first 2 sentries or the next 2 sentries. Yeah. Or warp gate's a little slow or something. So maybe I'll speed it up from there. But just important for us to figure this out because I've never tried to build 2 sentries and warp gate immediately. And I'm very curious to see exactly what happens here. So cool little tidbit on this map, actually, if you are trying to get your expansion. But especially because you're going just sentries early.
Or up front.
Yeah. It's up to you, really, depending on what you prefer. Obviously, like, the front wall-off is so good for defending Hellions and stuff. It's just, if they get, like, a tank push, it's kind of really annoying because you kind of got to get out there as quickly as possible to like, you know, otherwise... Or you just accept that the wall is going to die.
Yeah.
So, standard...
So what's the point with it?
So this is just a standard 16 gate, 17 gas, chrono boost probes. I accidentally started the gas a few seconds early there, to be honest. We don't need to do that. So that gas can be a few seconds later to make the build a bit simple, because I lost half a second of chrono boosted probe production. It's not a big deal. But yeah, if I want to be super pro, we can check that we're not being cannon rushed here with this probe. Doop, doop, doop. Okay, we're not being cannon rushed. Are we going to be probe scouting at all?
We'll need to place the pylon at some point, right? Probably the third pylon for warpins, but...
For warpins, yeah, that can be much later. Let's say we scout after Cybercore, or maybe we do it after Gate, actually, earlier. Because are you worried about scouting? Like, or do you just go straight to proxy a pylon and that's it?
No, I mean, if they do anything funky, you die, right? That's the name of the game.
Your call, your call. I admire your fortitude. So yeah, like I said, 14 on minerals. Is that sound coming from me or you? I just heard some like notification noises.
I heard nothing.
You don't hear anything? That shit is making noises. I do not know. Okay. Kind of triggering me. Can the stream hear that? It sounds like Discord messages, apparently. Well, there's a whole bunch of messages popping up for me. So, has Discord decided to start giving me notification settings again? Hold on a second. I have all notifications and sounds turned off on this computer, but I don't know if I did it on this computer, because this computer's been really derpy. So, computer, How about you shut the hell up? And oh my god, every time you log into a new Discord account, it resets your settings? You're kidding me. Oh. Okay. There we go. That's done. Sorry about that. People are messaging me and I'm just like, ugh. Beep, 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 beep. All right. It's going to be a little grainy for the stream. That's fine. Okay, let's continue here. We can see we are just short on gas for warp gate. That's fine. Starts like a second later. Okay, that probe's going to die. Not the end of the world. Oh, is it going to die though? Bad marine micro. Hi-oh, get out of here, easy AI. Third pylon, let's put it on the low ground, because why not?
Okay. Do you really put the third pylon over with the scouting probe?
I think we can... Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Here? Or maybe we do it to the left, wherever. So you can see we're a little short on being able to build the next 2 sentries immediately. But to be honest, we might even be able to do this with 3 sentries. And that one, not that massively delayed. We should be chrono boosting warp gate once or twice. And of course, should be 3rd pylon, 3rd, 4th sentry, and then the Nexus about... Yeah, we actually have way more minerals than I even realized, dude. This is crazy. So you can get a Nexus down at like 250, just because sentries are so bloody cheap. Which, in this scenario, if you're worried about anything, if you're doing this in PvP, you put like a shield battery down here somewhere in the natural, just as insurance.
Yeah, probably forward at some point as well.
Yeah, we wouldn't need that this early. Like I said, earliest is like... I guess you've got money for it. Might as well. Might as well. We can build it 330. 334, which is
like,
good.
Harass Sky units are typically like 334-ish, like an Oracle or whatever.
Yeah, if it's proxied, yeah. Yeah, I think having a scout and just adding a small adjustment for that should work out. So, anyways, our attack probably could have moved out for even earlier, right? Should we go 1 stalker, 1 adept, whatevs? We'll do that. But from here, we can already have so much gas, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god. And that pylon could be further back, so we put the cannon in the middle of the mineral line. It's going to be way more effective if we do that.
I guess this is the point where we start... sorry, I'm just going to pause. I can't pause. I guess this is the point where we start thinking about the follow-up tech, right?
Even earlier, yeah. You've got so much gas, like, let's imagine it's DTs or something.
Yeah.
So, and the problem, of course, is we've got to try and check that we don't run into their army. Because if they see our army, they're going to prioritize that instead of the Void Rays. And that's always the hard thing.
I want to Stalkers, Hallucinator, and then pause.
So what's the point in hallucinating the Stalkers?
It's just to scare them, I suppose, but also to soak damage if they have something left there.
Okay. I mean, you've got so much energy, I would only do, like, at most, like, 4 Stalkers. Or you could even... I mean, if we think about it, what's the tankiest hallucination? Is it Stalkers?
Probably Probes, because we'd forward them.
Nah, Probes are way weak, because they're only 40 hit points each. Let me turn this way down, by the way. So, an Archon is obviously 310. Stalkers are 320. Depths, yeah, it's got to be... I think Stalkers actually might be the tankiest. People like saying Archons, but that's not true, because you only get a single Archon for your 75 energy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 360, actually, sorry. It is 360, not 320. I was thinking it had 300 shields, not 350. Oh, yeah, even with the armor of the Stalker, yeah, the Archon is still the tankiest. So you could just make Archons, is probably the easiest way. Also, because it's a shorter range unit, it's naturally going to walk in front without you having a micro, which should be cool. But you can already have so many cool layers coming in behind this, like so much quicker, because you're mining lots of gas, and you're just not, you don't need any tech for this push. So that's what's so bloody cool about this, is like, so what do you think would be the plan here? Like, let's just keep it imagining we're against Terran, okay? You're damaging their economy, they're building basic units. Like, what do you want as your next step? Are you gonna swap into Sky Toss? Are you gonna make Flick DTs? Like, I know you want to do basically hilarious special shit, so...
Yeah, I mean, my opponents tend to do 1 million Marines and 2 medevacs and just kind of walk across, or 1 million tanks and a couple Marines and walk across, right?
Okay, so you just want to go like Robo Colossus or something like that, or you. The Florencio composition is actually really good, especially if you fuck with someone. The Florencio composition, as stupid as it is, because it counters both things, is you go for Stargate. 17 minutes. You gotta wait for the 17-minute mark before you make unupgraded stalkers, mate. Come on, learn your strats. You've got to go Robo Bay, Stargate Fleet Beacon. Now this is the stupidest shit ever, but there's actually, you know, Florencio basically was like, wow, siege tanks beat me. So Tempest beat siege tank armies. And if they go just lots of Bio, Colossus beat the Bio army. And that's literally it. So depending on which direction they go, you can get a few Tempests out, which are just generically not a terrible unit. And their great power is it's kind of like what the single Void Ray used to do before everyone was going Void Rays every game. It short circuits the Terran's brain. So when a Terran gets hit by a Tempest shot from like a screen away, it's like their brain just overheats. Every Terran player, they just lose their friggin' mind. Like myself included. I go, oh, that thing can pick away at me from afar. And it's like, yeah, it's one of the lowest damage units in the game, especially for its cost. It really is not an urgent problem unless there's like 10 of them shooting you nonstop. Like often you counter a Tempest by walking away from it. Like that's it. And then if it comes into the open, you stim on it and kill it. But otherwise, like you just walk away from it, right? So Tempest is just not a big concern normally, but there's something just about if someone's doing a very tank-heavy push, if they're just doing something where they want to really slowly pick away from you from afar, that's the way. And then you could go like...
bring back the dogs, right?
Hi-oh, hells yeah, man. And I mean, you can go Void Rays as well. Like if they're heavy Viking, you know, you can go Void Rays to beat those, plus Colossus and... I mean, but it's really up to you. So what are you thinking you want to focus on as the transition?
I tend to do just Immortal Glaive Adept or something like that.
Glaive Adepts scale really bad. It's really bad, yeah. I would say 100% if you're going to do that, go Zealots. Zealot Immortal can work, but even then, really having splash damage, like, if the game stays small enough, that's very attainable, but I'd be aiming for another follow-up push if you're doing that. So we could do that, but I'd say charge lots instead of adepts, just because there's too many chances of the game dragging on too much, and it's kind of...
Right.
I feel like if you're going to go Glaive Adepts as your core unit, you want to have like Disruptors with it and Colossus, because then it's like, okay, well, they're just going to kind of sit in front of your giant splash damage range units that make up for the fact that the Adepts are just not very good damage, especially if your opponent has Marauders sitting in front of their army. They're not going to do very well.
That's fine.
So if you're going to do that though, so what do you reckon?
I like the Tempest Colossus.
Okay, well, how about we write down both branches, okay? So if we're doing that, 3rd and 4th gas really early is necessary. With either build, we want to get a 3rd base up as well, okay? But
yeah, we can afford...
Either way, let's go 2 Robos and 2 Stargates, and we can adjust the amount of units we actually build out of those based on what's happening, okay? So you want to unlock Robo Bay and Fleet Beacon. This is all very expensive, right? But the idea is the more Bio, the more Colossus, the more tanks and libs and stuff, the more Tempests. By default, it's okay to get, say, 2-3 Tempests, 2-3 Colossus. And if you want, you can add charge on top of that, or we can just focus purely on the tech units. Obviously, I think it's way better if we do get a Twilight, add charge for that, just so we've got something else. And we do our little gateway explosion, you know. Okay, let's build 8 gateways. Terrible pylon positioning.
That's one way I die a lot, right? I only have 2 gates when they come knocking.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a great army for defending, for picking away. The problem is it's not as mobile. It's harder to just go do a push. So what I really like about the other style is that it allows you to have a simpler, more mobile army. Immortal charge lot, like, all right, let's do that. And you can combine that with a Warp Prism that goes into the back of their base while you're hitting the front, looking for the right angle, which is always fun. Now, the way you do that, though, is you're going to stay 2 gas for life. So what you would do is you would never take the gases on your natural. You'd get your 3rd up early. And basically, you'd say, look, 3 mineral lines, 1, 2, 3, just the initial 2 gases. You can get a few sentries if you want, and you might even have sentries left over from your first push. With that, you would go like 10 gates, maybe even 12 gateways, depending on how good your production is. And a few sentries if you want for Guardian Shield and maybe Force Fields to trap. But more importantly, it's just have a few immortals and just make a crazy amount of zealots. And if you wanted to then take that to the next step, if you wanted to play that not as much of like a... Because that's not that many probes. If you think about that, what is that? 22 on the main plus 16 on the natural, 38, 38 plus 16. Even though it's 3 base minerals, it's only 54 probes total, which is like not that much more than a 2 base, but it's all focused on ground pounding zealots. And you could do that with no upgrades or just one forge for like a +1. But if you wanted to, you could actually do that same style and still never get gases, keep it simple. Take a double forge and a 4th and saturate that 4th mineral line as well. You might be like, well, that's a crazy economy. It's not. Even then, 70 probes. But it's not even that because your main would be half mined out, which means you would have transferred 8 probes from your main to your 4th. So it's only 8 probes on top of the 54. So your 4-base build is only a 62 probe economy, but it's an insane amount of zealots and they have double upgrades. And this gives you a bit more flexibility with like not trying to just kill them if they're turtling a lot, but waiting for them to move out and then running 20 zealots into their natural and running a prism in their main and warping in and still having a shit ton of zealots at home to jump on them when they try to base trade or whatever like that. So let's write out some rules for all that stuff here in your notes and those different follow-ups. Okay, so with your opening notes, 8-unit attack about 4:30, could be even earlier probably. I think you could hit that quite a bit faster. So let's say 4 minutes to 4:30. Standard 2-gate opening is fine. So that's just like a real typical gate gas. Saturate gas. So let's just say 14 out of 16 on minerals is the rule. Saturate gases. Never drop below 14 out of 16 on minerals. Saturate gases, then finish saturating your minerals in main. That makes sense, yeah?
Yeah.
Nexus should go down at about 2 minutes 50. We want a safety shield battery, potentially. Safety shield battery on natural. Because we only have shit units that can't fight sentries. So just in case, gives us a little bit of insurance.
Especially if we have a wall up front, right? It's much easier. Can get the shield battery.
Yeah. And let's put that forge down right after the Nexus, because you had minerals for it anyway, so why not, right? Yeah. Nexus forge, awesome. So then like basically it's like 3 minutes 20 or whatever. Basically when our 5th plus 6th unit pop out, we move across the map, plus warp in at Pylon and meet up there. And then we basically make Void Ray Halluce, and Halluce 2 Archons, and walk into natural. And that's awesome. I mean, this is really cool. This is just 4 sentries as well, by the way, is what we did. But if you want to do more, you probably can. I think it was more than enough there, though. We saw as the energy's recovering constantly, it was like endless force fields. What did I not write down? So I guess as we're moving out there, it's like non-stop probing and stuff like that. And what did we want to go? Robo Stargate transition, yeah? Okay, so what we do is Robo plus Stargate is the transition.
1 each.
What we do, we wouldn't have enough money for everything at once. So you just do 1 Robo, 1 Stargate. And then after that, you'd go Robo Bay, Fleet Beacon, and then another second Robo plus second Stargate. And then alternate transition. So that's transition 1, right?
Yeah.
And that I'm happy for you to, basically 3rd Nexus. Maybe you could even just stay on 2 base just to keep it really simple for yourself as well.
Yeah.
So basically what we'd say is, and you want to get heaps of gas, 3rd plus 4th gas, nice and early. Sometime, probably just after the Robo Bay, Fleet Beacon, 3rd and 4th gas. And that's kind of the idea is, start all this before attacking. I don't know if we'll be able to time it out. We'll have to look at our build, right? We'll have to actually look at our build and kind of figure out. Does that...
When he has 2 tanks, you can't do it, right? It's just too late.
Your ground attack, you mean?
Yeah.
The sentries? Yeah, I would imagine if those tanks are sieged, yeah. I mean, if they're building really early tanks, then it's just not going to work out too well. But
or a bunker. But...
yeah, if the tank's on the ledge, you might be able to like go kind of, depending on where it's positioned. You never know, right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, you should be able to kill a bunker pretty quickly, especially if you've pulled units into the main, right? You might find that you send a hallucinated scout as well in or something to confirm that he's moving out of position, and then you go in, or you just wait for the Void Ray to see units come. Who knows? You'll figure out the
Yeah.
details of that. The important thing there, though, would be like what, +6 gates, adding a Twilight Forge, 6 gates, and that's all pretty complicated. We probably don't need a Forge. Let's do it with no upgrades. Twilight, 6 gates for Zealot Warpins. And the idea there is you get you can figure it out from there. That's some weird Florencio tech switch shit. But like, you tailor it to the situation and how you like to play that. But it's just an interesting way of opening up some really weird different tech trees and playing with it and really confusing your opponent. Transition 2, of course, is never take natural gases.
Yes.
So basically the main thing is actually immediately take third nexus and keep hitting probes right up to 50, 55, 54 is what we said the number was. So basically that's actually the main thing. We'd drop a robo, of course. So basically what we'd say, third nexus plus robo, I guess. And then we'd basically go immortal production, third nexus robo. Actually, let's say third nexus, then we can go robo plus twilight, immortal production plus charge, right? Once those kick in. And then we're on 8 gateways, 10 gateways. Let's go 12 gates, 10 gates. Always after you exploding gateways, you do a pylon explosion. And then basically warp prism after, let's say, 2 immortals or something like that, whatever the number is, 2 to 3 immortals, 2 to 4, depending on how long you take. Mass zealot, and go look for the attack. And then next step, if you choose to do it,
get the robo or the twilight first.
say again.
Would you get the robo or the twilight first in transition 2?
I'd put them together. It's more of an APM thing. You've got so much gas with your build, you'll have extra gas. So it's more of like, just chunk it together to make sure you don't forget. And that way you can also chunk the next step together. See how I've done it there? It's like Robo and Twilight same time in the build, and then Immortal Production and Charge as they both kick in. I mean, they don't finish at exactly the same time, but it's close enough. So it just batches those things together. Whereas if you split them up, there's just going to be too many games where you're like, cool, whooped in my 20 zealots. Oh, they don't have charge, or like, or the robo is just a bit late, so you've only got 1 immortal out. You're like, it'd just be too easy to forget things, especially because you're going to be having a lot of fun with that attack. So once again, the important thing is to put in to move this. See what I've made in bold? Start all this before attacking. Based on how you do your build and how consistent you are, it'll be like, oh yeah. We need to also put that here. We've got to start the Nexus and the Robo and the Twilight before attacking, or something like. So there's always, even if you pause with your attack for just a moment, you're like, let's make sure, because you're going to miss macro for a while after that, and like, queue up a ton of probes. Plus queue extra probes before attacking. So we're embracing the fact that we're going to stare the shit at our army for at least a minute straight, right? And then we go home, we go start immortal, start charge, put down 10 gateways at once, and that'll be pretty cool. All right. So that's a really cool build, dude. Should we move on to the next one, or?
Yeah, armies.
Okay. What's
the
the next?
next one's a lot simpler, right? It's basically just make a star, what are they called, port, with a tech lab, get a medevac out, start shipping some SCVs over, and then start building your BC and kind of time it out so when you drop your SCVs, you teleport the BC in.
So sorry, explain that again.
So yeah, I think this game's a pretty good example, right? So you see here, what I do here is you load in the SCVs.
Yeah.
They start going across. The BC is slower, but he can teleport to catch up.
Okay. So we go, it's just a one base like BC into expand, but we get a medevac before the BC. And obviously this was all delayed because you dealt with a roach sling attack, so it kind of slowed things down. But okay, that loads up 8 SCVs across the map, and then it kind of boosts over there. I mean, obviously, it's going to be. Well, it doesn't even need to boost. It's going to be out way earlier than the battle cruise. The medevac can even pop and then just chill for like 20 seconds before we pick up and leave, because it's out so much earlier. And then it go, okay, time to go, boys. Let's get in. Boost across the map. Unload in their main. BC teleports in.
Of course, you need to get the what is it called? The BC core out.
Yeah, the fusion core. Yeah, fusion core is obviously the highest priority. It's fusion core as soon as the starport finishes. If you don't have enough gas for both, right? The medevac doesn't need to start straight away. Should be about the same time. I think a medevac's like 10 seconds less than a fusion core. I could be slightly off on that, but it's close enough that you want to start, fusion core then medevac, very much around the same time. So, and the cool thing here, of course, is if they come in with their ground army, right? You, bam, your SCVs pick up in the medevac, right? If some banelings roll in, like if they came in with like 2 banelings, you like pick up, you click your battle cruiser on the banelings, and then you drop the SCVs back out and go back to repairing. So it could almost even be a thing where you leave the medevac and the SCVs in the corner of the base until he comes up, so that you don't aggro his ground army. Some people would just panic and move their ground army up to it, but a lot of people won't. So then it's like you wait until the queens actually come up and start fighting, and then you go and jump into it, right? That would be really cool. Because then his army's maybe on the other side of the map trying to counterattack you or something. Do you have a tank at home or anything like that, or?
No, I got a PF in the Natrite, so.
Okay.
Just like this build, actually. Yeah.
This is a true Florencio build. I like it. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. This is awesome. Okay. So in terms of making this as efficient as possible, that's kind of what we want to focus on, yeah?
Yeah, there are 2 questions. Like, how do I defend anything in the start? It's just Hellions, I guess, from the... And which structure should build the tech lab? As well as what point do I take the natural? Do I take one even?
You know what? This is... Honestly, having just the basic scouting in each game is going to be important with all your builds, right? Just to say, oh, this is a pull first, and he's building a roach horn straight away. Like, that sort of thing is just going to... You don't want to play safe against that stuff. So, just going back to the previous one, I would say if you can learn to just gate scout every game, then go to pylon position, and just try to get used to scouting every game, because it'll give you these moments where you can learn a little branch where it's like, oh, this guy's going proxy racks, I'll do this, and then keep going for the sentries in the normal build, right? And same thing here with this one, right? So if we think about this, so defending, yeah. Okay, so how do we survive? So how to scout, first of all, we're doing a 1 base opening. What's the best way to scout? Because you're doing a 1 base opening, right? I think we could just drive a Hellion across, because that Hellion, as long as we go for it straight away, right? So first things first, I think your build order might be very Florencio-ish, and that the openings may be a little inefficient. Let's see. So gas first at the right time, but I think you go second gas before barracks, right? Or something weird like that. No. Oh, okay, so you proxy to barracks. Oh, is that just for this game?
No, I always do this against Zerg, like 90% of my games, because
you just try to get a bunker up to like just distract him.
I either get a free natural, or I kill his natural, right? It's
okay. This is the classic. So Ruff used to do this in Heart of the Swarm. I think you could have started your barracks faster. So remember, on a big map like this, to just send your SCV out way earlier, because that extra, that could be like 12 seconds faster or something like this.
But if it's against Terran, I wouldn't do it, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's imagine. All right. Well, if you do this is going to give you some scouting. If we look at this icy Farvod, okay, because the bunker costs a lot. Is that a second bunker you start, or just one?
No, just the one.
Okay, so it's a real limited commitment, and that's good, because it means maybe they shut it down, but that's
3
okay.
4 Marines and a bunker.
Yeah. Did you make an orbital at home?
This game I did, yeah.
Okay.
Eventually,
that's huge. Yeah. You got to squeeze that in a little earlier there. So you built a second depot at home. That's the noob depot.
Why did you do that before factory, or
the depot?
No, the orbital.
Oh, 100%, as quickly as possible. That's going to give you so much minerals, man. Like, that's just so huge. Even if we wanted to be super crazy and use it for a scan as our scout early or something like that, it's just so huge. In this scenario, in this game, right? So that second depot is just super unnecessary. that we built at home. So that's what we need to cut out of the build until a bit later. Because even though, yes, you're building some Marines, and if you're doing that plus building SCVs, you can get supply blocked, on 23 pretty quick. We could just delay that depot a bit.
Zero.
Sorry, say what?
I have nothing at home, right? It's the only way to wall off. That's why I build that depot.
Yeah. I think because you've seen hatch first, though, there's nothing to worry about here. Like, if you came in and built this barracks here and he didn't have a hatchery, well, first of all, it's kind of crazy to be building a barracks behind his natural. Like, if I saw his expansion was late, we'd build the barracks at home would be the logical thing to do. Because if he's gone an early pool or a pool first, well, maybe you still get the bunker up and it does really well. But it definitely is like, I'm going to attack the guy who's probably attacking me. And it's embracing a different level of chaos where it might make sense to get that earlier depot. For now, though, I think we got to look at this. So how to scout / play safe. So let's talk about TVZ variant. Proxy racks, right? Second depot doesn't need to go down. So you've seen their hatch started at about 50 seconds, right? 48 seconds, 55 seconds, somewhere around there in the game. So that tells you don't have to deal with any Zerglings for a long time. Your depot will still be up in time, right? So, obviously, what's the priority on spending then? It's obviously Marine plus bunker immediately, right? When that thing finishes. And the thing is, you've gone gas first, so you're mining a kind of pretty crazy amount of gas this early, which I kind of feel like if we knew we were playing as maybe we could do just barracks gas and still get enough. But I like the gas first because we're going to go battle cruiser. It's a gas heavy build. Let's just give ourselves a bit of buffer on the gas.
No, I'm always waiting for that extra gas because you can medevac, tech lab, battle cruiser, right?
It's not cheap. I think it's Marine, bunker, orbital, then factory. But yeah, and only then the depot. Obviously, so the important thing is we got to get that factory started. So there is an argument to be made. There is a small argument for delaying this till after factory. But I think we can do both. I think we can get the orbital without delaying the factory too much. Let's look at this replay and just kind of calculate roughly. Based on... what did they just do? They just go back to the... I just went to an autoplay video. Hold on a second. Wait, no. I went in the wrong direction. Get out of here, autoplay. Okay, there we go. So if we look at this game... All right, so barracks finishes... We start a Marine, we start a bunker. Bam! If we didn't have that second depot down, we would have another 100 minerals, which could be a factory or an orbital. You know what? You want to go orbital first. I know you do. And I'm like, oh, just build it. Kind of makes sense, man. Kind of makes sense. As much as delaying the orbital hurts me. All right, we're going to move that around. Ugh. But the orbital will still come down before the depot, and that's fine. Yeah. Because good chance you lose that SCV on their side of the map. And you know, building Marines one at a time anyway. Plus you're making an orbital, which means you're not producing an SCV at that moment. And then you get the factory, and then I guess second gas right after the depot is what would make sense, right?
I think it's like the third Marine or something you get supply block typically.
Yeah. And I think that's okay.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's totally fine here. Yeah, and even if we get the orbital, we skip an SCV building, right? So
wait. If you pause there, how much is a supply depot? It's 6?
8.
8. So I was at 31 there, so okay, it'll be at 23, and I was 22 at 2 Marines. Okay. Yeah, that's correct. You get 2 Marines out.
Yeah, and then we'd get the second gas started. So yeah, you went a command center really early here. So this is like super inefficient because we still don't have an orbital at this point, I don't think. So that's kind of like, you end up in this position where, like, the thing is, our tech is not that fast. You slowed him down, but where's our starport? So our starport's going down. I mean, we got the second gas squeezed in there somewhere. When did we get that second gas? Oh my God. Actually, hold a second. You got your second gas way too early, dude. You gotta wait. Oh, you got this like really early. I somehow missed. You went second gas right at the start of the game. What the hell? I go back at this production tab. Oh, naughty. Oh, no. Okay, we do not need a second gas. I was like, I feel like you should be able to afford more things. Orbital goes back before factory. That is a That is not a necessary second gas timing because you're getting so much gas off that gas first. We can delay that a fair bit. And this will be, I know you want to get your planetary. We can still get that. But yeah, this is okay. I gotta hop in game. Trust me. We gotta pick this one up from scratch. Hop out of the game you're in. I've got to put this into action myself so that I can optimize this a little bit more. Sorry. Should have done this immediately. We'll go Lightshade. Eon Blue's in chat, by the way. He says, what is this abomination? Kill it with fire.
I think that's the Lambo thing.
Oh, where'd you go, dude? Where'd you go? Shoot you an invite.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Oh, this is funny. Very easy economic focus. We've just hit the alarm timer, but we'll try to get through a bit more. We'll add a few minutes anyway, because I need to take a quick pee break. So give me 1 minute. I'll be back in a sec, and we'll get on this. Give us 1 sec.
Cheers.
All right, I'm back. What's up, dude?
I'm here.
All right, let's go. All right. We can also experiment with not using a planetary on the natural. That can be a way we can save a lot of money, but we'll see how we go. We'll see what squeezes in and what doesn't.
Yeah, because then you don't need to go eBay. I suppose. Would you just get another rack and bunker instead?
Not really, because that doesn't really defend. So that's always like the thing. It's like if you scout a proxy reaper and you're like, quick, build another barracks and get more marines. Yeah, it doesn't really kick in time. And even a few marines in a bunker just doesn't do that much. A planetary is an incredible piece of weaponry, right? That thing just does not die. That covers you so well, but a tank on the high ground can often achieve the same thing. So it would probably just be us squeezing that out would be the kind of addition that we would want now.
All right, so gas before racks.
Sorry, we wanted to do the proxy barracks version. Hey, let's rehost. So let's figure out that timing. Sorry.
Oh yeah, because you want probe less.
Yeah, I got to send an SCV across, so at least that'll change things. So hop out of there.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. Cool. So we have to send one of our very first SCVs across, I believe, just to make sure that gets there in time.
Yeah. Especially on big map.
Yeah. Lightshade isn't the biggest rush distance, but always better to get to a proxy a few seconds early than be at 200, 250 minerals by the time we can put it down.
What timing should I look for? What would be a pool expand and an expand pool?
Well, 50 seconds is a hatch first. So if they've gone, say, a 17 pool, it'd be about a minute 15, a minute 20, a minute, yeah, for a 16 pool 17 hatch. That gas is a few seconds late there, so that's okay. We'll factor that into our calculations. With the proxy barracks, I'm always thinking of it, you know, not being like that. I think we'd put it up here in case they come down with their second overlord. It's going to delay them seeing this. So this will be 6 seconds slow on a single gas mining. We'll be about 15, 20 gas short. You know, it's not going to change too much, but just something to keep in mind. Okay. So, non-stop SCV production. We have not missed a beat on that at all. If we wanted to, we could have cut an SCV to speed the barracks up a couple seconds, potentially. But, yeah, with the gas first, you're delaying that slightly anyway. So, obviously, we're going to go orbital plus marine and bunker. So, we need 150 plus 150, 300 minerals. And you can see we've got more than enough for that.
Absolutely.
More than enough.
Yeah, because I usually use to make the depot in the gas. So that's another.
We can go like bunker there, say. And oh, that's a Reaper. I was like, what the hell? And then the factory goes down in the wall. So then we can go second gas and then depot. Factory, second gas, depot. So that factory is still well timed. That's like a minute 45. That's about as fast as they come. We've got a wall up nice and early, well before Zerglings would get here off a hatch first, because this is the time a Reaper normally pops.
Yeah.
So even a 12 pool, I don't think could get there before then. And are we going to proxy the starport or build it at home, did you say?
Build at home.
Okay. So you can see here we got cash to spare. We got cash
So where
to
would you
spare.
put the tech lab?
On the factory, or
Okay. After a Hellion, I suppose, for defense.
yeah. Well, the thing is, we don't. If we're proxy barracksing, we don't really need anything at home. A Hellion's a good little scout. It's a good addition to see what else is coming. It can join up with the bunker, or it can just see any incoming attacks on the way. And then you're naturally going to get... We can get a tech lab for safety, sure. Command center on the high ground. So
Tech lab is for the starport, right? So that's...
No, you don't need it early. The thingo can build its own, actually, right? Or actually... Well, let's see.
You need to push out the medevac as well.
Fusion core is the most important thing, so I shouldn't have started that depot yet. There we go.
Okay.
Medevac costs 2. So there is a little bit of fiddling here. Yeah, there's a little bit of fiddling. It's okay. It's only a few seconds. Could be optimized slightly, but in general, this is working out. So we're going to hit a natural supply block on 31, so we can afford that. And that can... Yeah, sure. We'll build another tech lab. Potentially. We need 300 gas for a BC. So this is where we say, okay, well, you know what? Maybe we could have done that earlier. Barracks up. This gets all killed. Blah, blah, blah. That's all being killed. And, okay. That goes there. And now, I kind of wanted to build a tech lab so that I could build a tank if I need. The idea is after the pressure, I would put the Hellion out here on a patrol path to see if there's a counterattack potentially. We start the battlecruiser. 4 minutes is going to be our goal for starting that battlecruiser. Now we start the tech lab. And we're going to go orbital there. Now, we don't really have anything to defend a counterattack immediately. That's where, if this wasn't going well, we would have been able to go, you know, for a tank out and delay the battlecruiser a bit. That would be our safety precaution, okay? So for now, though, we do get a tank started at 4:30. So anything that hits at like 5 minutes, we'll at least have a tank up to defend. And from here, we could start doing other units. Now, Obviously, if you
Now
built
we-
your barracks at home, we could use bunkers and stuff. But if we built our barracks on the other side of the map, we can use it to block a third base. We can float at home, but it's not going to be there in time to really do anything.
We need to load up this at this
Yeah.
point, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, one short. Yeah, so that gets across pretty quickly. And then we, of course, want to go for things like double gas, because you're probably going to play mech afterwards. And remember what I said, is that we kind of want the BC to go in first anyway. So I actually we don't care about showing it before the drop gets there. Because there's all these fighting units, we actually want to kill them, potentially, just to, you know...
Especially the lane strike, because...
Yeah.
That's the issue with his versus Zerg specifically.
Yeah, and obviously that can heal, but it can also pick up, drop. Behind that, so that's the build right there, and you can obviously save this replay and write the timings down, and it can be refined, of course, but let's have a little think there. Okay, so Proxy Rex variant. In terms of that, I'll write down the build order just roughly here. So, build, and it'll be only slightly different for the other version, Proxy Rex version. So, basically, first SCV goes across map, 14 depot at ramp, 15 gas first, 16 racks. And remember, if I just took the gas 6 seconds earlier, I technically would have had slightly less minerals at a few moments, but I also would have had the gas slightly faster, so I could have like gone straight tech lab on the factory. Wouldn't have had to worry about it slowing down the battlecruiser by a few seconds. So we can simplify that build. We don't need to have like tactical pauses. It's just overcomplicating things. So it was 16 racks. Behind that, we could have squeezed a second gas in a bit earlier, but I really don't think we need it because getting the command center up and those minerals and stuff to keep everything going is more important. So we go 16 racks. And then obviously basically at the racks, it was orbital plus marine plus bunker. Next was a factory. Basically our next, resources that just kind of came next. And then a second gas and a second depot, all kind of around the same time. So you can almost, I'm going to indent those just because they all kind of go together. Right around the factory, bam, bam, bam. Obviously, we then go starport. Fusion core. So we get a tech lab on the factory when it finishes. Then we go starport, fusion core immediately. After the fusion core, we then start the medevac. We then swap onto tech lab. Plus factory swaps off and makes second tech lab. And then obviously we go BC. And then a siege tank, right? It's kind of the order. Where did the command center squeeze in? I don't freaking remember. Somewhere in the middle. It was probably about the time the starport started. Maybe a little before that. I'm going to say command center goes somewhere around there. We could figure out it's like when you have the minerals, At 400 minerals starport.
It all depends what happens on the side of the map as well, right?
Yeah, planned supply block at 31. That's kind of hardcore. You might not choose to do that, right? You might be like, fuck it. That's too confusing. Sometimes then I don't have enough supply to start my medevac. And if that's slowed down, it slows down my BC. It's all too complicated. Up to you. But I did like the idea of a planned supply block at 31 where we like cut SCV production a little. But it's allowed us to go command center at 400 minerals. Sorry, we're at starport. CC. And then we get that third depot or fourth depot. Is it third depot? Yeah, third depot. So third depot goes down just after we start the command center, just because it's like so easy to get stuck in this cycle of like, okay, I made a depot. I don't have enough money for a command center. Oh, it's time to build the fusion core. Oh, it's time to build a tech lab. Oh, I should, and your command center just like keeps getting pushed down the priority list, and it ends up being like a 45-second to a minute delay, which when you're already doing a one-base build, it just guts your economy really bloody hard. But yeah, the idea there is we've got siege tanks on the high ground. What do we want to do with the transition, man? What do we want to do with our transition off this?
Probably just make mines and BCs.
Mines and BCs, okay. Mines and BCs. So would you get for a second starport and try to escalate the BCs early? Or would you kind of go, just building BCs nonstop is like gonna get a big reaction anyway. I should be more focused on getting the counter to the corruptors and then I can go back into more BCs.
No, I'm more focused on the economy side. Actually, I tend to try to get a fast.
Well, I think economy first, absolutely for sure. But like, so basically, just keep building BCs though, right? At the same time, I would imagine. Plus, add the Yamato.
Yeah.
Do you want to try and hit with Yamato as well?
What do you mean hit?
Like, do you want to have Yamato ready? Like,
No.
okay, good, because that's crazy. That costs so much. It takes so long to upgrade. Yeah.
No,
But-
timing doesn't work out at all, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Okay. So,
Basically, a BC to be out and teleport like that to their base, right?
Mhm.
Instantly.
so keep building BCs plus add Yamato,
Yeah.
and then we would
Right.
swap factory onto off and build reactor, right? Plus build second factory
Second
on
factory.
tech lab.
Exactly.
So you
Really
can
close
keep
and all
building
that, yeah.
tanks non-stop off one factory all game as your survival unit. It's your safety.
Exactly.
One reacted factory pumping out widow mines, and obviously you can add drilling claws once you add an armory using the tech lab factory, which is cool.
Yeah.
And that's enough to create quite a lot of units, especially when you're on 2 base. When you're building BCs one at a time constantly, it's expensive, man. It's really fucking expensive. Widow mines build really fast. That's expensive too. So I would kind of go off that. Probably try to go for a 3rd command center to build things up, right?
Yeah.
I'd try to get towards that 3rd base. And then I would consider from there, it's like 2 more starports or 2 more factories. Like if we do more factories, we could either go like more of like a mass widow mine with some battle cruisers, or we could add like Thors and tanks. More starports is like, hey, we're really just going to escalate this BC production and keep upgrading them. So if we do 2 starports, obviously, I guess we could get an armory or 2 times armory for upgrades before the 3rd CC. But the idea with the starports is like, if we're doing that, you gotta go double air ups if you're gonna do that. Whereas with the mass widow mine style, we don't really care about upgrades at all. Some armor upgrades would be nice. It helps widow mines, helps BCs, but yeah, that's a fun style. And with like widow mines, of course, it's all like tactically playing a widow mine macro game. It's like just put widow mines everywhere, especially blocking bases. Like just that, killing a drone that comes over to a base and then forcing them to come over there with an overseer and some units. And if you just like every now and then you like box like 10 widow mines at your rally point, you're like, oh. And you just use shift and you're like, go burrow there, deselect one, go burrow there. And you just like spread them across the map in random positions. It gives this real huge psychological impact, and it drains your opponent's APM. Because whenever they're moving their army around, their fucking overseers just keep running in front and dying to widow mines. And like, oh, I need to make more widow mines. They keep getting attack warnings. They're looking like, what's happening? What's happening? And it just ruins their ability to control the map. Or so it allows you to start doing things like, I'm going to build 4 command centers on the edges of the map. And they might find one of them and kill it, but they're not going to find the rest because they're a bit traumatized. Because your battle cruisers keep running into the back of their base as well. And that's like how Florencio wins a lot of his games with Terran as well.
That's 80% of my TVZ, right? It's basically this.
That's it, man. It's just, yeah, you're harassing them. You're setting up the widow mines as the annoying bits, and you're going to, at some point, out harass and out expand them at the same time. It is a very divergent and weird macro game. And, yeah. Okay, so bonus last question. Let's finish up on that. As I said, we did want to go a little over time, but we are pressing that boundary now. So you wanted to do a mass Viking Liberator style in TVT, and you weren't sure how to defend early. One factory.
We can say that for next time. Otherwise, it's.
I would just apply the same rule as I said for the other one. Just have one factory pumping tanks all game, and squeeze everything else in around that. Like I think
trade-off, right?
Yeah.
The other way is to do a PF in the NAT and then just get 2 liberators, and they just go crazy, right? Because either they try to run in with the Marines, just die to the PF, or the tanks die to the libs.
As long as you don't let drops in,
average
that's big brain, because you can buy so much time by repairing that planetary as well, right? If there's like 2 tanks sieging it, you're like, oh, you just like kind of okay, siege these libs on this. Yeah, that's okay. I think both are fine, but yeah, we could talk about that in more detail another time. As long as you don't let drops in the main, right? That's always those styles. It's so funny because you're like, well, you shouldn't. You got plenty of Vikings, easy. And then like that one double drop of Marines gets in your main base, and you're like, I can't kill this. Oh my god, everything's dying. But if you pull it off, hot damn, awesome, man. And a lot of those builds, honestly, It's like a good offense is the best defense, right?
Absolutely.
When are they going to attack you if there's a Liberator and a Mineral Lion or a Landed Viking at every moment of the game? And it's, you know, it's like, even in those situations where I'm like, okay, he's defending really well. And then I just like have my Libs and Vikings like waiting on the edges. My spotter unit sees them move out. I'm like, okay, time for round 27. Lib goes and sieges on each base and they're going to have a bad
just
time.
watching Medivac Marine chasing Vikings across impossible terrain is one of the most hilarious things, right? Because all of the Medivacs every time.
Hells to the yeah. Asherbur has a comment. He says, "These builds, who hurt you, dude?" He says, "Hurt one is a very apt name. You're passing on the pain."
I'm just old and cynic, that's all.
Oh, I love it. That's good shit, man. Nah, these are very interesting little tactical fun ways of playing. So awesome. I hope that helps refine those openings a little bit.
Yeah.
Have a little bit more minerals. Hells yeah. And I'm just personally proud because we've kind of pushed you towards the Florencio tech path in TVP, which is the literal dumbest, most amazing shit that has ever been invented. So
That's just my middle name.
I'm like, why are we building Tempest as our first tech unit? And you're like, oh, it broke the Terran's brain. All right, good stuff, man. All right, man. Well, I got a jet, but have a great evening. Right. Thanks for the coaching. And I look forward to hooking up with you again another time.
Sounds great.
All right, good night, man. Good stuff.